On a cold Ohio evening back in January 2001, I decided to videotape myself, and yes, it was still videotape back then, baking chocolate chip cookies. The recipe was from Alton Browns' Good Eats show, which I'd only recently discovered on Food TV. Season 3, Episode 6, 3 Chips for Sister Marcia, originally aired on December 13th, 2000, just 2 days before my daughter was born, but more on that later. By then I had tried making all 3 types of cookies from the episode, but the puffy were, and still are to this day, my favorite. Inspired by Alton's recent reload of Good Eats, I decided to have a little fun and revisit my own baking adventure 18 years later, and show you why chocolate chip cookies are still Alright, Terry's gonna laugh at me, but I'm taping myself cooking tonight. So tonight we're making puffy chocolate chip cookies as inspired by Alton Brown of Good Eats. So first we're gonna go through the ingredients. And I know Terry's already laughing, but here we go. January 2001. Check out that hair and the pudgy round face. But one thing hasn't changed, and that's the ingredients. So let's move on. First, you need 1 1/2 tablespoons of baking powder, 1 cup of brown sugar, 2 1/4 cups of cake flour, which will make the cookies light and fluffy, bag of chocolate chips, 2 eggs, a teaspoon of salt, which I've already put in the baking powder, 1 cup of butter flavored shortening, 3/4 of a cup of regular sugar, and finally 1 1/2 teaspoons of vanilla. Now let's mix them together. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is combine all the sugars and cream them in the mixer. So you add the white sugar, the brown sugar, and the shortening. I don't think we need to watch a long, slow unwrap of a brick of shortening, so let's skip ahead a bit. So we're going to cream all this stuff together on medium until it gets nice and fluffy. This was a long, slow zoom shot of the mixer doing its thing. We didn't really need to see that, so let's skip ahead again. So while that's going on, let's work on the dry stuff. Okay, so while my sugar is creaming in the mixer, we're going to sift together our dry ingredients. First we're going to combine the baking soda and the salt with the flour, and then run through the sifter to make it fluffier. Fast forward. Okay, notice how nice and fluffy my stuff is getting in here. Oh yeah, that's the good stuff right there. Nice and creamy together. Okay, now we're going to add the eggs and the vanilla. What are you doing, dog? Whoa, stop. One thing I don't do anymore is break the eggs directly into the bowl like this. That's a surefire way to get shells in your cookies, which are definitely not Good Eats. Ask Terry about my famous eggshell brownies and you'll know what I mean. Instead, as part of my prep, I crack the eggs into a small bowl and add the vanilla. That way all my wet works are together and I can gradually add them to the cream mixture. Okay. Now it's time to add the rest of this good stuff. Yeah, okay, so I didn't know the recipe that well and I was cheating. This was only the 2nd or 3rd time I made these particular cookies anyway. So, I don't do this anymore either. Rather than adding some of the flour to the bowl, mixing it until it's incorporated and repeating, I prefer to remove the bowl from the mixer and do it by hand until the flour is mostly combined. Then it's back on the mixer to finish it off. Get all that good stuff off the sides. And now the stuff we've all been waiting for, right? Clean out my spatula first.
Now it's alright if all of them don't make it into the cookies, if you know what I mean.
To this day, when I'm making these cookies, I always eat the first one. More mixing? Fast forward.
Now that is fluffy cookie dough. Look at that. Now we're going to put this in the fridge for a little bit to cool before we start baking it.
Oops, having a little trouble with the bowl there? If I'm going to be storing my dough overnight in the fridge, I like to cover it with a bit of saran wrap. That helps keep it from drying out and from absorbing any funky odors that might be floating around in here.
Now while that's chilling, we can work on our cookie sheets. Check this out. Okay, my dough is chilling in the fridge. Now it's time to get the cookie sheets ready to bake. We want cookie sheets and something called parchment paper. Okay. The aluminum cookie sheet. Amazon.com, $12.99.
Looking back at my order history, those cookie sheets were only the 6th thing I had ever ordered on Amazon.
I got 2 of them here, and I'm going to use parchment paper so that my dough doesn't make my cookie sheets all messy. So all I'm going to do is lay these out, and then take a roll of parchment paper and just cover the length of each sheet. Oh, look at that one. Look, am I good or what? That one was already measured out. That's from the last show. Just like that. Now the other secret I learned from Food TV is not to use a spoon to drop these on the cookie sheet. Instead, the ice cream scoop, number 20. This will ensure nice big cookies. Alright, let's see how our dough is doing. Oh, good stuff. Not quite chilled enough yet though, so we're going to put it back in and then start preheating the oven.
And so it begins.
Utterly craveable.
So good.
Yes! I'll take all of that.
Nice.
This is the best thing I've ever eaten.
Is pasta an architectural eat? Find out on Food, Fact, or Fiction.
And more epic battles on Iron Chef.
And the crowd goes wild.
Explain preheating, do I? 375, that's all there is to it.
You're probably wondering why after fast forwarding through all the other slow, boring zoom shots, I left this one in. Well, here's why. Extreme close-up!
That's done preheating, we should be ready to bake them up. Oh yeah. Okay, the oven's ready, the dough's chilled, it's time to scoop. Now, the point of scooping is to get each cookie the same size so they cook at the same time. So,
you may have noticed that since this was a one-person, one-camera shoot, I was doing all these zooms myself using a remote control.
we got our number 20 scoop, and we're just gonna reach in here. Drop it right now. Yeah. Now we're going to do 6 cookies to a sheet, a couple inches spaced apart. Just like that.
Nowadays when I'm making this recipe, I'm usually doing a double batch. So I'll do 2 cookie sheets of 6 cookies each at a time in the oven.
Nope, that one's stuck. There we go. Okay, we're done scooping. Time for the oven. Now we're going to let those bake for 13 minutes or until they're golden brown and around the edges.
I think what I meant to say was golden brown and delicious.
And we're going to rotate them at 5 minutes so they cook evenly on all sides. Okay, it's been a couple minutes, time to rotate.
Since I've usually got 2 sheets of cookies in the oven at a time, when I rotate, I also change what rack they're on.
Oh, that tastes good.
My first time-lapse attempt looked more like stop-motion animation. Let's see if we can do a little better this time. Ah, golden brown and delicious. What? You didn't expect me to leave my camera in the oven the entire time, did you?
Okay. These have been in there a little longer than 13 minutes, but they're looking toasty, so I'm going to take them out and see what they're like.
If they look toasty like this, you've probably left them in too long. If they look done in the oven, they're probably overdone.
Okay. Now, those are cookies, huh? Oh, don't those look good. So we're going to let those cool, and then we'll be able to taste them. I can't wait to try her first chocolate chip cookie. Isn't that right, Amy? Say hi, everybody. Everybody watching the cooking show. Hi. So what do you think of my chocolate chip cookies? Do they smell good?
Remember at the beginning of the episode when I mentioned that 3 Chips for Sister Marcia aired just 2 days before my daughter was born? Well, that's her then. And this is her now. What do you think, Amy? Are my chocolate chip cookies still good?
Uh-huh.
Very good. Yeah. Okay, the cookies are properly cooled, and now it's time to taste them. Oh, yeah. Very good. There's one thing wrong with having to cook. And that's it. Time to clean up.
Alton Brown handpicks his favorite episodes of
I had a chance to polish up this show a bit.
Looking forward to your little reunion thingy.
It's a reload.
All New Good Eats Reloaded next Monday at 9. Cooking Channel. Stay hungry.
Okay, well, that's the show for today. Hope you enjoyed being with me while I made some chocolate chip cookies, the puffy kind. They're usually great, let me tell you. I'm going to clean up here, but there's nothing else for you to see, so I'll see you next time when I'm in a weird mood and feel like taping myself while I'm cooking. Bye.
I prefer to eat my cookies warm, right off the cooling rack with a glass of milk. But honestly, keeping them out of sight might make them last longer. I put them in freezer bags and store them in the chill chest. Trust me, they're great right out of the freezer, and they also make fantastic ice cream sandwiches. While I never did fulfill the promise to film myself again after that Police Squad-esque ending, some younger viewers might have to Google that, I hope you enjoyed watching this reload as much as I enjoyed making it. See you next time. Actually, I gotta start recording first. Oh, it is recording. Ha! Hey, how you doing? Ha!